Hey folks, it's Chef Kevin. I'm in my backyard in Jamesville, Virginia. It's a real windy day out here. Anyways, I've been here 2 years now, and one of the things I haven't really done is gone crabbing. So I recently purchased a crab pot and I put it off my dock, and I'm not quite sure how many crabs are going to be in there, or if there's going to be any crabs in there, but I've been told by locals that there are a pretty good amount of crabs here, so let's go down to the dock and check it out. Okay, so I decided to do a voiceover for this portion of the video because the video was picking up all the wind sounds, and then you wouldn't be able to hear what I'm talking about. So I'm hauling up the trap now and really interested in what I have. You can see all the white caps in the back. It's windy. It got stuck under the dock a bit, but I swung it out and over. And of course the dog has to get involved. No crab for you though. So there's about 17 in there, 16, 17 crabs. Most of them are keepers. In order to possess the crab legally, it has to be 5 inches across. Well, let's steam these bad boys up. So what I did is I took the crabs out of the crab pot and placed them into a 5-gallon bucket that had ice and water in it. And what that does is it shocks them, so it makes them very lethargic, which makes them easier to handle. So I'm heating up my water right now, and I'm going to steam these. You can cook these several different ways. I'm just going to steam them, no seasoning, and then take out the meat and make some sort of an appetizer. For 2 people, there's not a lot of crab in there, so it's not enough for a crab meal, but I can make a good appetizer out of this. Let me show you my crab steamer. Okay, this is not a crab steamer. This is really a pasta cooker, and I'm going to use it though to steam the crabs in. It has a lid, of course, and then it has a perforated inner pan, and I have a couple inches of water in the bottom. So once that comes to a boil, I'll put the crabs in there, let it go for about 12 minutes, and I'll have some nicely cooked crab. Alright, here we go, folks. Much easier to work with when you knock them out with the cold water. This is actually a female. You can see all the eggs on the bottom. But it's legal to catch. Okay folks, so after everything has been said and done, this is the crab meat from about a dozen crabs. There's not a lot of meat here. There is a lot of crab roe or crab egg, so that's good. Okay, that's 7 ounces of crab meat. Like I said, not a lot. There probably could have been more meat had I been a little bit more careful in my deshelling, but it is what it is right now. Now I got a whole bunch of leftover shells. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making a appetizer. I'm going to be making crab American appetizer. And what I'm going to do with these shells is I'm going to make a stock. You need a stock for this recipe. You can use a fumet, which is a fish stock, or you can use crab shells. There's plenty of flavor in those shells, so I'm not going to waste it. So the first thing I'm going to do is prep my veggies and get those sweated off. To make the crab stock, I have a heavy cast iron pot here. I have a medium yellow onion. I have 4 cloves of garlic. And I have some carrot sticks, about 1/4 cup of carrot sticks. I'm just going to sweat that down. Okay, the onions are sweated off. They're translucent. I'm going to add a little peppercorn here, about a teaspoon of peppercorns. Now a lot of these pieces of crab, like the legs, there's meat in there, but I guess I was too lazy to break them open and stuff, so didn't want to really bother with that. But that'll give it a lot of flavor. Now I'm going to make about 3 quarts, maybe less, 2-3 quarts of this stock, which is a lot more than necessary for this small dish I'm making. But it's good to have around. I love drinking broth in the morning instead of coffee. And this is about as fresh as you can get anything. Now I'm not using any seasoning. No salt, no pepper, until the very end. And the reason for that is I'm going to reduce it. So if I start out with a lot of salt, by the time I reduce it, it's just going to be overly salted. And there's natural salt in the crab itself, so I don't want to feel like I'm drinking an ocean. Get some pieces here that got a little crab on it, but it's too late to pick it off now. Alright, that'll do it. Gonna fill it to the top with some nice cold water. That was about 3 quarts right there. Now I'm going to turn up the heat, bring it to a near boil, and then let it simmer for about 40 minutes. Okay folks, so it's been simmering for a good 45 minutes anyway. And what I'm going to do now is take all these solids out. So I have a large pot here and a large strainer. That is hot, boy. Okay, so this is all trash, and what I have left is a nice big bowl of homemade crab stock. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to reduce this just to increase the flavor intensity. So I put the stock back into the pot, a clean pot. Now I'm going to bring it up to a boil and just reduce it. That's about 2 quarts in there. So I'll probably reduce that by 1 quart, so I'll end up with 1 quart. Now you could actually use fish stock for this recipe. You can buy fish stock at most supermarkets now, but it's just not the same thing. It's not going to have that real intense crab flavor. So here is my crab stock, my homemade crab stock. It has a little oil on top because that's what I use to saute the vegetables in. So I'm just going to scoop that off. This is actually day 2 of the video because it took me a lot of time prepping those crabs and doing this and that, so it's almost a quart. Now what I'm going to do is reduce it just to increase the flavor. And what I'm going to do is pour it into the pan, the pot, whatever. And now I'm going to leave that little bit of sediment inside the container. I don't want to use that because that may have grit in it. And that's something you should always do with any time you make a homemade stock. You don't want grit in your food. So I have almost a quart, and what I'm going to do is reduce that by at least a half and then finish off the sauce. Okay, the sauce is at a full boil. I put the cover on just to bring the heat up quickly. I'm going to add some cognac here, some brandy I should say. This is about a half of a mini bottle. And I'm also going to add some red wine. That was just about 2 ounces, 3 ounces at the most. I'm going to bring that back to a boil. Put the lid back on. It's back to a full boil. The alcohol will burn off. And I'm just going to keep this on a high heat to reduce the quantity to about 1/2. With the lid off, of course. The stock is reducing, so I'm going to add 15-ounce can of petite diced tomatoes with basil, garlic, and oregano. I'm going to go ahead and warm that up, and then I'm going to add some of that homemade crab stock to that. Tomato sauce is actually pretty nice from a can. I'm going to add a little black pepper. I'm going to add some fresh parsley that has been washed. Always wash your parsley because you don't want grit in there. Okay, the tomato sauce has been cooking for about 15 minutes or so. I'm going to add a little cayenne pepper to that. That was about a teaspoonful. And then I'm going to add some of the reduced crab stock. Now I'm going to cook this down a little bit more to thicken it up. Okay, the tomato sauce has a nice consistency to it. I tasted it. Doesn't need any salt, doesn't need any pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and start prepping the crabs and put the sauce on top of that. Have some baby arugula here. Has a nice peppery flavor to it. I have some leftover crab bodies here, and what I'm going to do is stuff those crab bodies with the meat. This is the crab I caught off my dock. This has plenty of crab roe in it, or crab egg. If you're not familiar what roe is, it's egg. And it just tastes so awesome. Now this is actually a French recipe, but I'm doing it American style tonight. Okay, I have my 4 crab bodies here. It looks very nice. They have all the crabs oriented the same way. Now I'm going to take some of the sauce. The sauce is what makes this dish. Now you don't want to completely smother it. Add a little bit more Italian parsley garnish. And a little lemon. And there you have Chef Kevin's Crab American. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then throw me a friggin' bone here.
Throw me a frickin' bone here.